Robert Bob Bedard was born in St. Hyacinthe, Quebec on September 13, 1931. Always an accomplished young athlete, his tennis career didn't start until he was 15 years of age, and it is reported that he never took a tennis lesson in his life. He loved the game of tennis, however, and studied it. He improved his play while enjoying this and other sports as a teenager. At the age of 19, and after graduating from Loyola College, he was awarded a studies abroad grant from the Quebec government. He accepted a position at the University of California, Los Angeles, and concentrated on developing his tennis skills. By 1953, he was ready to return to Canada and quickly rose to the number 2 ranking in this country, winning a place on the Canadian Davis Cup team. Mr. Bedard continued to play and compete, and in 1957, he had what he describes as his best year. He wed Anne Stacey, ranked number 8 in Canadian women's tennis, and toured Europe for 3 months with her that summer, amassing an incredible and unduplicated record by any Canadian player, winning 2 tournaments in England, competing in the quarterfinals of the Italian Open, and advancing to the 3rd round in both Wimbledon and the French Open. English tennis great Fred Perry, after watching Bob play, was to remark that Bob was the best athlete at Wimbledon. Bob Bedard's record is simply unmatched in Canadian tennis. He was ranked number 1 in men's tennis for 11 consecutive years, and at one point was unbeaten in 216 consecutive matches. He won 3 Canadian Open singles titles, 3 men's doubles titles with his partner Don Fontana, and a mixed doubles championship with Mariette Laframboise. He went on to represent Canada in Davis Cup competition 15 times. He also won a silver medal at the 1959 Pan American Games in Chicago. One of his major personal accomplishments is that he recorded victories over the number 1 player of 15 different countries, including such greats as Australia's Roy Emerson, Whitney Reed of the United States, Italy's Nicolas Pietrangeli, and Paul Remy of France. In 1972, Mr. Bedard brought his love of sport to Aurora as a teacher at St. Andrews College, contributing to school life by coaching tennis, hockey, and track and field. In 1981, he was named the school's 6th headmaster, and during this tenure, St. Andrews teams went on to win senior championships 82 times. Tennis remained his playing passion, and he continued to play and compete in the late 90s and early 2000s, winning provincial, national, and international championships with his son, Peter. He remains a remarkable athlete to this day and boasts numerous Canadian senior titles, his latest being the Canadian over 75 champion in tennis. Mr. Bedard is no stranger to awards and award ceremonies. He is a member of the Canadian Amateur Athletic Hall of Fame, the Seminaire de Sherbrooke Hall of Fame, the Loyola College Hall of Fame, the Quebec and Canadian Tennis Halls of Fame, the Rogers Cup Hall of Fame, and in 1996 was inducted into the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame. In 2013, we are proud to induct him in the inaugural class of the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the presenter, Jean Lavadière, and the presenting sponsor, Kevin McHenry, headmaster of St. Andrews College, and I invite both to the podium to assist in the induction.
Thanks, Ken. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and great pleasure to be here tonight to introduce to you my friend, Robert Bedard. Bob and I go back a long way, and because of tennis, it seems our lives have been intertwined forever. I first met Bob when I was 12 years old, and I was a ball boy at one of his Davis Cup matches in Montreal against Brazil. Of course, I had been aware of Bob for a long time before that through his close association with my late father, Lucien Ariel-Dur, who supplied Bob with his rackets during his active career. Like all young aspiring tennis players, we all looked up to Bob, and during these competitions, we all went out of our way to get his autograph, and I must say I still have it today. In 1962, we arranged for me to spend a few days at Bishop's College in Lennoxville so that Bob could help me develop as a player. I guess it paid off as we met a year later in a friendly competition, the Stars of Today and Tomorrow, organized by my father in Montreal. The matches ended in a draw, as some of the young guys surprised some of the veterans. After graduating from university in 1970, I moved to Toronto to pursue a career in business. 2 years later, in 1972, Bob, his wife Ann, and the 4 boys, Mark, Paul, Michael, and Peter, also moved to Ontario and settled in Aurora, where he began a long and successful career as an educator at St. Andrew's College. Even as Bob's attention shifted to education and his family, and I pursued a career in business, tennis was always important in our lives. And in 1992, we met again in Montreal on the occasion of Bob's and my father's induction in the Quebec Sports Hall of Fame. By that time, we ourselves had moved to Aurora and coincidentally ended up in the same neighborhood as Bob and Ann. A few years later, we renewed our friendship at Timberlane across the street, and since then, we've had our weekly matches where we spend as much time playing tennis as we do practicing our French. For the last couple of winters, we have continued our weekly matches, but this time in Florida, where Bob has even allowed me to play on his team. As you've seen in the presentation, Bob has been inducted in many different Hall of Fame organizations across the country, and today I'm proud to present 2013 Aurora Sports Hall of Fame inductee, Robert Bedard.
Thank you, Jean. I know it wasn't easy for you, but I'll teach you for having known me for so many years. Most of you, and especially the inductees, have been the recipients of many honors in the course of your lives. But some honors have more meaning than others. For me, this one summarized 41 great years of living in the town of Aurora. Memories of hockey games played at the community center on Mondays and Thursdays and Friday nights in the house league, where I made a myriad of friends. And similarly, while playing with the aptly named Church Dodgers on Sunday mornings, of fastball games held at the Wells Street Park in the company of Scott Silcox, and a catcher, a second baseman, a shortstop, a center fielder, and a first baseman, all with the same Bedard name, on a team called the Saints for St. Andrew's College. Of tennis matches at the Highlands, these of 6 players, the captain Terry Redvers, and again 5 with the same family name. Other games at Fleury Park, and for the next 20 years or so, 3 or 4 times a week at Timberlane across the street, plus many visits to the poor of Aurora as a member of the St. Vincent de Paul Society, all add up to fulfilling and indelible experiences. On an even more personal note, I have often been asked whether I regretted the choice of a tennis career over either baseball or hockey. Here is my answer through an anecdote or 2. When I was 18 years old, 5 players, I included, went on a first trip outside Upper Canada to the city of Halifax in the Maritimes for the Maritimes Championship. I happened to reach the finals of the singles, where I met the number 5 ranked player in Canada in a 3 out of 5 sets match. We were 1-all, and I had a set point for the third. My opponent served the ball, which I considered to be quite outside by quite a margin. Even though my English skills were at the embryonic stage, I was on my way to the referee's stand, on which stood a highly respected Anglican minister, when this beautiful girl of 15 years old, she was a ball girl stationed at the net, she approached me to say, Here in Nova Scotia, we never argue with the referee. 7 years later, following hundreds of letters and meeting each other some 2 weeks a year on the occasion of a tennis tournament, that beautiful girl, I knew to that, became my wife, and we set out on the Queen Mary for a 3-month tennis honeymoon throughout Western Europe, culminating at Wimbledon, where we played mixed doubles together. That was 56 years ago. The second anecdote also occurred that same year. While I was signing autographs at the Sherbrooke, Quebec exhibition grounds, I received a phone call from the headmaster of Bishop's College School, who asked me to meet him the next day in Lennoxville. At the time, there was a serious animosity between the English and the French in the Eastern Townships. Apparently, the night before his call, he had asked his son, "Who is your favorite athlete?" And the son had replied, "Jean Beliveau." So the father said, "But he is French." To which the son replied, "In sports, that doesn't matter." That's what prompted the father to call me. He knew I had a BA from Loyola College in Montreal, that I had been successful in tennis, and that I had given a number of tennis clinics. When I met him, he asked me to become a teacher of French and geography, as he had found out that one of his newly hired teachers would not be available for the coming year. The school was to pay me the highest salary ever offered to a new teacher, $4,000. My wife, Anne, in particular, thought that this position was better than the one I held at the time, special representative for Dow Brewery. I accepted. I then spent 14 years at Bishop's, followed by 25 glorious years at St. Andrew's College. So I can thank Jean Beliveau for my teaching career. If those two examples don't answer the question of choice that was made, nothing can. There is no doubt in my mind that the upward trajectory of my career as an educator has been the result of qualities of an abstract nature which sports inspired in me: discipline, concentration, willpower, and consistency. And I believe that an athlete's character is more important than his skill. In this context, I can say with some confidence that sports teach, and teach better than anything else. Every athlete knows what many never will, that nothing can be learned without discipline. Discipline and faith in oneself are the integral components of success. May I end by thanking the town of Aurora, the mayor is here tonight, by thanking all those responsible for this initiative, by thanking my wife Anne profusely for all her encouragement, by stressing the support I received from our 4 boys, their wives, and our 9 grandchildren, and by adding my congratulations to the other inductees and to all the other worthy athletes, coaches, and builders who will follow us. And thank you, St. Andrew's College.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you your inaugural inductee, Bob Bedard.